Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on the DCU as a whole, maybe specifically Creature Commandos, it's whichever way you want to put it, but I guess it's actually the DCU as a whole. So within the past, I want to say 72 hours, I think, from when this video is coming out, we got the 2-episode premiere of Creature Commandos on Max, or formerly HBO Max. I have done a review for those 2 episodes in one video, just contained in one video if you haven't seen it. I will leave that link in the description down below if you are interested in watching it. But on Max in the United States, it wasn't the case on the Australian streaming service where the show aired, but on Max, I think it was after episode 1. I don't think it was after the second episode. I think it was after specifically episode 1. They aired a trailer for the rest of the season, which showed some pretty interesting things for not just the rest of the season of Creature Commandos, but maybe what is coming up in the larger DCU storyline that James Gunn is putting together. And along with that, we also got some other little tidbits, if you want to put it, for what is coming our way with other future DCU projects through some interviews with James Gunn. So decent amount to go over in this video. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions and everything we went over in this video. Always curious to hear what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show support, drop a like, takes 2 seconds. So the first thing I want to talk about is just the trailer that dropped. Now, I'm not going to show it because this is like an official DC one and it just screams getting copywritten. So I'm not even going to try risking it, but I will show screenshots on screen. Or on the video when relevant. But I'm sure if you've watched the episode, especially if you're in America, you would have seen the trailer at the end of episode 1. So yeah, but you better. I might leave it. Try and find a link and put it in the description down below if you want to go watch the trailer. But anyway, one of the standout things that had a lot of people talking, and a lot of people wondering, okay, does this mean anything going past Creature Commandos? Is that there is a point where we see this like apocalyptic vision of heroes within the DCU dead, and in not just they're in a coffin. No, they're dead in like fairly graphic ways, like strung up, impaled, limbs cut off, pretty crazy. And we see a first look in the DCU. This includes set photos of characters like Starfire and Captain Atom. It's giving a tease at like roughly what they would look like in the DCU in live action. I mean, Captain Atom, it's pretty simple. It's a goddamn like chrome dude with a red emblem. Like, it's pretty easy to get down what they're going to do there. But Starfire, we can see that she has like this orange skin and like the reddish orangey hair, very much like the comics, very much like, you know, specifically like the Teen Titan stuff and like the suit she's wearing and stuff like that. Of course, one of the rumored projects being written as we speak is that of Teen Titans, written by the same screenwriter as the Supergirl film. Of course, that film hasn't been officially confirmed by James Gunn as of yet, because he has, of course, said in the past he will only confirm projects once the script is done, therefore they're greenlit. So we're going to have to wait for until the script is done for that to be greenlit. I think we're probably going to be waiting a bit until that's officially confirmed. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if like Gunn waited until Comic-Con to officially confirm Teen Titans is happening, just because it won't start filming by then. But I don't know, we'll wait and see. But we do get Superman as well in that shot in animation. So obviously we've seen set photos and that first look poster and stuff like that. This is how it looks in animation. We can also see Mr. Terrific behind Superman to the right as well. You wouldn't be able to tell, but like at first you're like, is that really Mr. Terrific? But you can sort of tell by his like suit design that that's Mr. Terrific. Now, I can't lie, the Superman suit looks better in animation than in live action, but there are at least the one that we've seen on set. Now, there are rumors that he gets another suit in the film, because a lot of the set photos we're seeing looks like it's only from like a 20, probably like 20 minutes, if not maybe even less portion of the film. So there's rumor he gets another suit. Like, it's got like the same design apparently if you want to put it, but just cleaner. And I think it's probably Kryptonian technology, which by default should just make it look a bit better and a bit cleaner and maybe more in line with what we see in the animation there. And we also do get to see Peacemaker dead with his right leg, I think it is, or like the right leg below like the knee cut off. And there's like many more bodies and skeletons lying around him and behind him in the distance. So whatever this vision is, it's probably not a future that you'd want to be a part of, at least if you're a hero, unless you're like, or just in general, unless you're the one doing the killing, I guess, because it's probably a sign you're winning. Now, one of the things is that in the trailer, it talks about like Cersei, like you see her like get defeated essentially. Most of the Creature Commandos have her, down, like she can't really do too much, and she's like, you've ruined it, like you've screwed us all. So it makes you wonder what like the underlying threat potentially is that she's trying to contain, or she's trying to keep a power, like a control of power and stuff like that. So that makes me very intrigued to see what Creature Commandos reveals as we get deeper into the season, but you'd assume probably in the finale, which might set up what happens in Superman, or it might set up what happens at Lanterns, for example, because Gunn has said that Lanterns is really where like the big thing in the DCU starts to unfold. But yeah, the rest of the trailer just gives us teasers to more of the origins for the Creature Commandos crew, such as Weasel, G.I. Robot, and Dr. Phosphorus, while also showing some more interactions with the villain Cersei, and also giving us a first look at Dr. William Magnus quickly, who is the creator of the Metal Men in the DC world, who will be voiced by Alan Tudyk, who also voices Dr. Phosphorus. But Alan Tudyk is rumored to be reprising this character of William Magnus in live action in Superman next year. So it will be interesting if maybe there is any like slight seeds planted in that episode, which is this week's upcoming episode. Episode 3 will be about G.I. Robot. I think it's called like something Tin Man or something, which obviously like that's referring to G.I. Robot. But you also get another look at Clayface versus Rick Flag Sr., which was in another trailer, like another shot of it. Alan Tudyk is also voicing this character in the show. Hopefully he's getting paid for these 3 roles and not just being like, hey, we'll pay you once, as if you're playing one character, but can you voice a few more? Come on, I'm sure you can do it. But the fact that he's rumored that he might be playing William Magnus in Superman, presumably in the present day, makes you think that maybe William Magnus in the show is not too far removed. He's not set in the 70s or the 60s. Maybe he's from like the 90s or early 2000s or something like that. So that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, we did get a bunch of, well, I don't want to say a bunch, but a decent amount of other news. This is primarily coming from a couple of interviews James Gunn did in the lead up to the premiere of Creature Commandos, and I've split them into characters and other stuff just because I thought it was the easiest way to do it. So the first thing is about Batman, and it was just an interesting reveal which had been rumored, but it never really was touched upon by James Gunn. So he said at first he was thinking about bringing Robert Pattinson's Batman into the DCU, but as of right now he is committed to doing DCU and Elseworld stories, which the Batman, like the Matthew Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman falls into. And the Batman Brave and the Bold script, the Batman movie set in the DCU, is not quite where he wants it to be yet. Now, we don't know officially who is writing that. It was said like just before the writer's strike, I think it was, or maybe it was during it. I can't remember, that it was Christina Hodson who was writing it, who had written the Flash movie and had written Birds of Prey, or Harley Quinn and whatever that movie was called. Just Birds of Prey. I think most people just call it Birds of Prey. She was rumored to be writing that because she is a part of James Gunn's architect room, or whatever they're calling it, where they're just like, writer's room, essentially, like the DCU writer's room. So she was rumored to be writing that script, and we can assume that that's the same, that's still the same, and they're just sort of figuring out what to do there. We don't know necessarily why it's not where James Gunn wants it to be. Is it like the scale of it? Is it where it ends? Is it just the quality? Is it the relationship between Batman and the other characters in the movie? Like, that's a wait and see. Is it maybe too similar to what Robert Pattinson's Batman is? Do they want it to be a completely different type of Batman, both in age and tone and stuff like that? So that's an interesting thing. I'm not too surprised that this could be one that's a bit sticky, just because it is such a big thing. Like, obviously Superman's a big thing, but Gunn wrote it, so Gunn's not really going to deny or like worry too much about his own thing, because he's going to be confident in what he's done, obviously. So it will be interesting to see what happens there. The next thing, finally, we'll talk about Superman, is about Superman. So Gunn said that his Superman will have the Silver Age science fiction approach when it comes to his film, which is very interesting. So the Silver Age, if you don't know, is like late 50s and throughout the 60s. I don't know specifically when it ended, but Silver Age is essentially late 50s and like throughout the 60s. I don't know if it stemmed into the 70s, but it's roughly around that point. Now, Silver Age Superman is a bold thing to sort of like be your approach, because Silver Age Superman was like pretty overpowered, and it leans into like very heavy. Is heavy the term? At least I want to say it leans into like, I guess, very sci-fi elements. Really, it's nothing that any Superman project, at least in live action at least, has really touched upon, at least in regards to a major focus, let alone it being the approach going into it, because it can come across as not just like silly, but ridiculous and goofy if not done right. Not in general. Like, if you do it right, then it'd be fine. But if you don't do it, like, people are just going to go, this is goddamn stupid. What the hell is this? Or if you do it and you don't balance it as well with more serious stuff. So that's probably the challenge that they have there, is having that Silver Age, like, over the top stuff, but trying to balance it with some, whether the term you want to use is grounded, but just real stuff. So I'm sure Gunn will do that, or at least I would be surprised if he failed completely at that balance. It might be a bit unbalanced in certain areas, but by the time you get to the movie, it balances it out. Then it should be fine. But it's a bold approach to go with the Silver Age, but it's also something that I think Superman fans specifically will be like, yes, I want to see that. And I think that leans into even the take on Lex Luthor that he's going for, where he's a bit more of like the evil madman scientist sort of approach, not like the, maybe some other like approaches that Lex Luthor has been in the past. Even like most recently on like Superman a lot, it's going to be a completely different version than that one. So that leans into like what we've heard about Lex Luthor, and even like some of the designs of Metropolis and stuff like that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it's like when we actually get the full movie and it's all pieced together. But just some two other things from some of those interviews with James Gunn. He said that another project has been greenlit, but it hasn't been announced officially as of yet. Most people are speculating this is either Sergeant Rock or Clayface, just because those are the two behind the scenes where it seems that there's the most, progress. I think a lot of people are thinking it's probably going to be Sergeant Rock, and it might not be too surprising that maybe after the episode of Creature Commandos, which seems that it's this week's episode, where Sergeant Rock's going to be in, by the looks of it, then maybe they announce that. But then again, Clayface is also showing up in Creature Commandos, so it could be either. Maybe whenever after they make their debut in animation, at the very least in the DCU, Gunn might announce that. But those are the two projects that have the most like rolling forward, if you want to put it. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it could be Teen Titans, but I think that script's probably still being fine-tuned before they officially greenlight it, might I say. And the final thing that Gunn did was something that he didn't do, because he sort of danced around a question involving Kumail Nanjiani being cast as Booster Gold. And this is interesting because a lot of people think like the Booster Gold, because like one thing that a lot of people don't know is that like studios will put stuff out there like feelers, if you want to put it into social media and see how people react. And the Kumail Nanjiani one was like, okay, yeah, he's a comedic actor, but like, do you see, because like Booster Gold's got a story there. It's like, do you really see him as Booster Gold? And the answer is probably no to like 99% of people. So you put the feelers out there, but we've seen like Kumail Nanjiani hanging out with like Peter Safran. I think it was at the Olympics and some other events and stuff like that. So it seems like he most likely has been cast. But like with those things we were talking about before, Booster Gold had, I think, a writing team leave, I think it was, or they got people in and they just didn't really vibe, I guess, with everything around there. So they're probably still fine-tuning Booster Gold and exactly what they want that show to be. Once again, it wouldn't surprise me too much if one, maybe even two of the projects that Gunn announced at the beginning of last year and that big announcement don't happen, just because they can't, just make it right, or at least lead it to where Gunn's happy with it. And, Booster Gold could be one of those. I hope it is, and I want to see that show because I think there's a lot of potential there for a Booster Gold show, but maybe it is one of those things. And the final thing to talk about is with Aaron Pierre, who of course was cast as Jon Stewart. Like, I don't know, I feel like I want to say it was only like a month ago, but I feel it was probably like 2.5 months ago or something like that. But this is the first time he's really addressing that casting, and this is what he said. He goes, "What I can tell you is that the team are just super, super excited to have this opportunity to bring this story to the people. And so far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do my very best to serve and honor and elevate in any way I can Jon Stewart and the Green Lantern Corps. Hopefully I serve that and it resonates with me." And he also said he's doing extensive research and study into or homework, I think the term was, into the character, which I don't know if that means, reading the comics or just listening to interviews or using like real life inspirations for what Jon Stewart should be or be portrayed and stuff. I'm not too sure. But yeah, he's definitely focused in on it. But we're only I guess roughly a month and a half, maybe 2 months if you really want to stretch it out, from not only Lantern's starting to film, but also like Supergirl. They're both rumored to start filming like really close to the beginning of the new year. So yeah, not too far away from getting some updates on that as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on everything we went over in this video. Always curious to where you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.